Magic.
All right, welcome guys to another episode of Angry as Hell Magic. Today we have as usually, we have one to buy, one to sell. Today I decided to cheat a little bit. My one to buy is actually a collective of foil, Urza's Legacy, and Urza's Destiny cards. That are
So all of them?
not all of them. I'm excluding the commons and uncommons.
Okay.
What I want to focus on are the reserve list cards. These are Academy Rector, Treachery, Multani Morrow Sorcerer, Ring of Gix.
So these are one to buy. Some of these are expensive cards, man. These things can go for $500+.
Oh, look at Grand Monolith. That goes for about $4,000.
And you still think at that high price. I mean, you're clipping into like Mox territory now, right? Like, of course, moderately heavily played unlimited stuff maybe, but you still think at $4,000, that's still a good deal to buy.
I only think it's a good deal to buy if it's near mint. Because they're so difficult to maintain in near mint because of humidity, clouding, the geographic region that the card was acquired in. If you get the card in some place like Florida where there's high humidity, there can be a lot of clouding. If you can get a copy of Grim Monolith in BGS 9.5 condition, you're looking at a very strong card. There's other cards like Treachery. They've fallen down in price dramatically from the 2021 highs. I believe Treachery reaches as high as $1,000, $900 during 2021
For the foil again.
for the
Near
foil.
mint. Yeah.
Yes, for the near mint foil, and now it's back down to about $500.
You know, you're bringing up we always bring up this sort of May 2021 peak that we had. Do you really see that sort of resurgence coming back around for Magic cards?
Absolutely. The reason that I see that resurgence is because this time period coincided shortly after the Bitcoin halving. The Bitcoin halving is coming up soon again, and I think that that's going to cause a dramatic increase in the price of Magic cards again.
Those are our one, or I should say, group to buy there this time. So then, give me something to sell. What do you want me to get rid of?
My favorite card to get rid of right now is Terror of the Peaks. Terror of the Peaks only had one printing. It was printed in Core 2021. It goes for about $35, and we all know that Wizard of the Coast monitors the secondary market, and anything that achieves a price of $35, it's at risk to be reprinted in either a secret layer or a dragon theme set shortly down the road.
And that card too, it's just whenever any other creature comes into play, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Right? I mean, that just starts getting really sick balls, and the thing's a 5/4 at that. So you really, direct damage is not as practical of a means of getting rid of this thing. And so in Modern and stuff like that, when you're looking at this card of just, I wondered, why has it taken so long for them to do this? The only reason I can think of maybe why they haven't printed it is because of how powerful it is, but it just seems like, gosh, in red decks, and then in Fury, which they're looking at getting rid of Fury. But that's a cheaper card to play because it has Evoke on it, right? But that almost everyone thinks they're going to be banning that here in the December 4th.
See, the reason that I believe Fury hasn't been reprinted is because Fury sells packs. Modern Horizons 2 is the largest selling set in Magic the Gathering history, with the exception of possibly Lord of the Rings. So, of course, they're going to want to sell packs that have a very, very valuable card in it. So it's to their detriment to reprint a card and sell it as a secret layer for, $40 with 4 or 5 other cards in it, and basically capture the secondary market. Whereas you can have the average player buy box upon box upon box and try to acquire the mythic Fury.
So this dovetails into a tangential related note, which is Black Friday, which had just come out. And everywhere I was reading online, everyone seemed to be more or less underwhelmed that prices weren't that great. Secondary market stuff, local gaming stores, 10, 20% off. And everyone says, hey, thank you for having a sale, but people are looking for a lot bigger stuff in there. Other big player, how did Amazon do with Black Friday and Magic cards?
It was a really big surprise, and I think that um, uh, credit is due when credit is due, and I think that the Amazon dumps may have stopped. Um, the typical 20-30% off on every Black Friday. Everyone knows Black Friday has 20-30% off. However, in the past, Wizards of the Coast has dumped prices below distribution costs.
Right.
And dumping below distribution costs is causing harm to the actual, intellectual property of Magic the Gathering. No one wants to buy a $220 or $250 collector box of Magic the Gathering cards, knowing that in 6 months that they're going to be able to acquire them on an Amazon dump for $80. Case in point, Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt. So I think that they're going in the right direction. They're making reprint shorter. Doctor Who, I think they found a sweet spot. And there's some
Let's
other
talk about that for a second, right? We got all these secret layers that are going to be coming out. And so as you talk about Doctor Who, Tomb Raider, Secret Layer, and some of these other ones that are popping up, and so real quick with these Amazon dumps, and I guess history may tell, we may finally learn from Wizards of the Coast, perhaps it was a situation where they just had all this inventory. And so they were doing these dumps as opposed to a philosophical choice to just say, let's do this stuff. Because it certainly looked like for a while that what Wizards was doing was just trying to corner the market and saying F you to all of the local gaming stores, but it maybe from what we're seeing now, and I guess the ultimate reason doesn't matter. If it would just happen, we had a ton of inventory or we were trying to get a couple of quarters for our financial results to look good, or they actually were trying to do all this stuff, but they realized and had their own sort of version of coming to Jesus and just said, okay, we really shouldn't go in this direction. And they're pulling back. Let's hope it's what you think and that they're pulling back. I need to see a little bit more evidence myself.
So I think we had a black swan event when we had COVID, right? So there's so many sales and there's helicopter money. Everyone was buying everything, right?
Yep.
So as a result, I think that Hasbro overestimated the amount of cards that they could print. So they had a warehouse full of product, right? So in order to get rid of this product, they decided to dump it on Amazon and take a loss, and at the same time they benefited from from taxes. They could claim a loss from taxes because as a result of that, and I think that's what they went for. And I think now that they realize that it's not 2021 anymore and they need to lower the print runs.
Okay, so let's talk secret layers. How's it going to be received? Print runs. What do you think it's doing with the market? Where is it? What do you think this looks like for Wizards and their commitment to having collectible cards in addition to the game pieces? What are you thinking about the secret layers that are all coming up? Because I just got my email saying, "Hey, we're going to be shipping soon," or they took the money finally, like this past week. They charged me for some of my secret layer buys.
I am so torn with some of the secret layers, I told myself I would never buy a secret layer again, but they sucked me in because my favorite movie of all time is Evil Dead, and they made me buy it. I couldn't help it. Creep Show, another one of my favorite movies of all time. But these are very small IPs. And I just had to buy them, but I don't think they're being very imaginative with their secret layers. And I I I don't know. They're just trying to capture the secondary market with these secret layers. They it seems as if to me they have reduced the value that is associated with the secret layers. So, for instance, if you buy a $40 secret layer on the secondary market, these cards might be worth $30, right?
Well,
So,
that's not good. You're right.
right. So, eh, I think they're getting a little greedy with the secret layers, and I think that they are printing way too many secret layers.
They look, if they're going to make a Laura Croft card and stick her on the reserve list, I completely changed my mind that it's not necessarily too much of a printing, but you're going to see this in the secret layers. We're basically all paying $10 a card or $5 a card. I think it's 8 in Laura Croft's set. Some of those are reprints anyway. And so it's $5 a card here. And then, okay. And then if they just go ahead and stick her in 9 other things, and then yeah, to your point, what are we doing with these things? I think some of these cards look good, which is why I did it. Some of them I just like, but I think to say that it's collectible enough because we all just like them. I mean, that is the nature of collectability, right? Of why we want collectible stuff. It's not just to speculate on the price because we like having it. Like over Black Friday, I bought another booster set of the Baldur's Gate. I want it, and so that's its value, is for me to have it. Now, if that goes away and we're all only buying stuff because we think it's going to go up in value later, we're all fucked.
So to make a point regarding the secret layer, right? Mark Rosewater basically made a promise that if there are unique aspects to the cards in the secret layers, for example, Laura Croft, those cards are going to be reprinted with different skins, but without Laura Croft in the set booster packs. So we've already seen what happened with the Stranger Things secret layer. All of the Stranger Things cards in the secret layers were reprinted in set booster packs. And what happened was,
but with new art.
Yes, right, without the same skin. And it totally and utterly destroyed the price of the card. And that is further proof that it is not simply the skin, but it is the uniqueness of the game piece that drives the price of the card.
Yeah, I mean, how powerful is the card? So then what I would then get out of that interpretation of what you said is that if I get my Laura Croft secret layer, and if that thing happens to spike to $100 here real quick, maybe I should dump it immediately, because if there is going to be no reservation on them to keep the playability of any of those cards, and some of them are already reprints, right? From being limited to that, they're definitely going to stick them in there.
Right. The first universe is beyond set, The Walking Dead. The big card in it was the human, which was the legacy playable. Rick, steadfast leader. And that blew up in price. I think it reached a max of maybe $50, $50, something like that. So
yeah.
when they reprint that card in if they haven't already, in a set booster, that's going to drive down the price of that card. And
go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
Mom.
along what you're saying, there's a specific example that I would like to reference. And a lot of people in the community know this, but I think it's not something that we should look at and say, oh, well, that happened. Isn't that a bummer? I think that it happened should be a complete atrocity that should have people up in arms. Explain to everybody, for those that don't know, and just get us all present to talk about the pricing of the Lord of the Rings party tree.
Well, the Lord of the Rings party tree was a skin, and it was a skin for the Great Henge. The Great Henge is an excellent card in Commander, right?
Yep.
And there was a Surge foil that was available in the original collector booster packs for Lord of the Rings. And there are multiple sales of that card for $1,000, $900, or right around that price.
Sure, I've seen that.
So that card, since then, and the time period, what has it been, about 2-3 months?
Right? No time.
It's dropped to $57.
Now, look, if you had a $3 card and it goes down to 25 cents, okay. But $1,000, like, it's not about the percentages anymore. So you have people running around buying into a $1,000 card. What's that?
Talk about a feel bad.
Feel bad. Yeah. Like, that's not cool. And I look at that as a real dangerous thing. If this starts to happen more and more times, I think that's the sort of cataclysmic financial disasters that can set in, that can put a chill, not over just collectability, but just kind of the game in general, right? Where no one is going to buy into any surge pricing or even the cards that they think that they need to go play in a deck. Everyone's going to wait. And we've seen this housing markets and other things in the world, that if everyone seems to think that it's going to go lower, then the market stalls and it does go lower. And it can actually start to paralyze the game on all fronts. So I hope that this is a true anomaly and it never happens again, because if more and more stories come out, and it doesn't have to be 1,000 to 50, it can be from 500 down to 200 if it all happens inside of a few weeks. That's going to have people just as much up in arms. Those are Texas Hold'em type swings. You cannot have that in your collectible market or even in your playable market.
And I think you and I, when we were having a private conversation on the phone, and we were drawing a parallel between this and comic books in the 90s.
Yep.
I mean, as soon as you call something collectible, it's not collectible.
Right here, bought a couple of these on Black Friday as well. These are the Brothers War, and so this is not going to be overly familiar. Collector's Booster. So, like, there you have it, right? So I know there's just some good cards in here that I use for playing. I thought I'd pick a couple up. I think I ended up getting this for like $10. I bought 2 of them.
Keep it sealed.
All right, I'll keep it sealed. So that's why I did that. But again, it's like 10, 15 bucks. Sure. If that thing, and I highly doubt it just for the amount of cards, ends up going down to $5, but all right, I'm out $10. But if this thing I bought for 250 went down to 40, now it's like it turns into the F this, right? I'm never buying any of this stuff ever again. It's too much. So around it though, last topic. There is something interesting happening around the cards that I love the most of all of Magic. They were my biggest powery cards that I got back when I first started playing, and I love them. And you informed me about this, Thalid. What is going on with dual lands?
So in recent times, dual lands have the sheer volume of dual lands in the sales have been climbing. And I don't want to make an assumption and necessarily attribute it to the fact that Bitcoin is actually spiking in price. from a low, a swing low of 15 grand to a swing high of about $39,000. But there could definitely be a correlation there. And keep in mind that the dual lands are the cornerstone of the reserve list. They're incredibly playable. Everybody needs lands. This is something that can be a marker that can be. It can be indicative that the reserve list market could be making a turn for the better.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question here about these dual lands then. So 2 questions. One is this all set versions of dual lands? And the second question is, the volume is going up. Have you noticed yet, like enough to write home about, of an increase in price that's resulting, or does it just seem like there's plenty of activity where the prices are still staying static?
The prices are staying static. However, there's always a price wall, especially, okay, when you're coming out of a bear market, there's going to be a price wall, right? So we have to surpass that price wall before the price starts going up again. So
now explain this price wall briefly for people that aren't unfamiliar with the term.
The price wall is just like, if you go on TCG Player and there's 100 copies of Plateau and the price ranges from $200 to $207 for, and keep in mind I'm pulling this number out of my ass.
Yeah, I know. Just example.
Yeah, $200 to $207. And there's 100 copies of it. I would say that you have to exasperate those 100 copies before you get to the next price. So after those $207 copies are sold, then the price can go up. Because if you sort the price by low to high, once those are all sold, then they start to go up in price.
Right. So as long as you see 100 of them, using your example, me as a buyer, right, I'm going to be thinking, oh, maybe I'll buy it today, maybe I'll buy it tomorrow. There's plenty out there. That's about how much they cost. So I can take my time, and it's staying more into that buyer's market. But as you say, 100 now turns to 6, or even if it's 15, for those people who are looking closely, go, wait a minute, these are all going away. That's how all of a sudden says, I'll buy a $240 one of these things because I see now that they're getting out of the market.
Yeah, in short, volume price index is indicative of the turning from a bear to a bull market.
Okay. All right. Well, that is our I was going to say Mad Magic. I am Mono again. This is Jay Thalid over here, but we're not calling it Mad Magic today. You called it what when we started the show? Take us out, Thalid.
Angry Magic today.
Magic.